Hey everyone. I think we're live. Cool. Cool. All right. Just doing a few checks. Sorry for the delay. A few technical issues, as you'd imagine. Just gonna make sure the audio is okay. I think it is. Let's get this sorted out. Cool. All right. Okay. I think we're good. There we go. Okay. Cool. Let's get started. So I'm going to be starting doing. I think I put up a post, a community post. I'm going to be doing some weekly streams, just because I'm not getting around to making as many videos as I'd like. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick something each week, or maybe you guys or somebody will pick something each week. Maybe I'll put posts about it or polls, and we will just code or learn something together. So that will hopefully benefit everyone. So worst comes to worst, if I can't, I'm going to still try to do videos. If I can't do videos, I'm just going to learn something on stream or build something, and we can just chat and do things like that. So that would be good. Cool. So this week I'm going to try out a front-end mentors challenge, front-end mentor IO. I'm just making sure. Trying to get the audio. It's either too loud or too low. Let me bring this up. 20%. There we go. It will keep going up and down until one day it's right. Cool. So this is front-end mentor IO. They have some challenges, and so they've got different levels of challenges. And when you go into the challenge, they've got some designs. This is for front end, so they've got some designs, some style guides, etc. And your goal is to just basically recreate the design, and then you can kind of submit it and do the whole community thing. So yeah, I'm not too worried about that bit, but yeah, I thought it'd be fun to rebuild one of these. I've been wanting to play around with Material UI v5. A few things that I need to kind of play around a bit more with. So v5 beta, I want to try this one out. I remember looking into this, but I never kind of played around with it too much. So I just want to see kind of the changes there. React Router as well. React Router v6. Let's go to React Router. GitHub. And I think it's on the dev branch. Yeah, so they've got some beta releases as well for React Router v6. Let's just look at some releases. Yeah. So I'm going to be trying that one out, just seeing if it works in general. And is there anything else? I think that's it. React Router v6. React Query. I think I'm up to date with that. Find v2. Yeah, well, I might try this one anyways, React Query as well, because I think I may have used v1. Now they're on v2. Let's see what it looks like. Let's start. Slightly different. Yeah, okay. So I guess I'm just gonna rebuild something. I'm not too worried about actually the design, or trying to match the design perfectly, as long as I'm trying out Material UI. React Router, yeah, so it won't be too much on that. I guess depends. Actually, it might not even have pages. Oh, I did pick one, so I think I'll pick one with at least 2 pages. See how that one goes. Just make sure I'm using React Router v6 and yeah, latest version of React Query to try things out there. And I think that's that's everything I want to try out. So I'm just going to try build it with these tools, which is most likely overkill for what we're building. But if you were, building kind of either an enterprise level or something that you want to scale someday, these are probably good places to start. So I'm not going to do kind of plain HTML, CSS, or whatever. I'm going to treat it a bit like a real project. Go for React. Go for these files. Try keep it relatively tidy. Not hack about too much. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Hey Mush, how's it going? We're doing front end mentor. So I picked one earlier on. If this loads, is that not loading? Ah, yeah. How do I look at my challenges? So this is the one we're doing here. REST countries API with color theme switcher. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So I want to rebuild this. I think it's relatively simple, but there's API calls, and I think there's 2 pages at least in it. Let's download this while we're waiting, which means I can try out Material UI v5, which is beta React Router v6, which is also in beta, and React Query v2, which is not in beta, but I'd like to play around with it. Or React Query v3. Oh, yes. Yes, React Query v3. Was that the docs? Yeah, okay, it is on v3. Okay, cool. Yeah, let's try that. Cool, so let's just move this from our downloads over to our playground. Cool, so I've just downloaded the starter files. Let's look at the brief. The brief, your challenge is to integrate with REST API countries. We'll get that up. So we can basically use whatever you want, and you should be able to see all countries from an API on the homepage. Search from, so we've got some inputs, filtering, filter by country region, click to see more details, the usuals. Cool. All right, so let's jump into my downloads and unzip this guy. And let's jump into playground, or here actually. Front end mentor. Cool. All right. Oh, let's rename that. That's too long for my liking. REST. Well, let's just call this countries. I think I'm trying to see if you can just see the designs here. I guess you need to download it. Let's look at some other challenges while that's opening up. Yeah, there's a few nice challenges here that you can work through. Lots of nice little challenges. All right, where's IntelliJ? There we go. Oh, that's taking its time. Cool. So they give you a README. I guess they've got templates for submitting, but we won't worry about that. They've got a style guide, which I guess will show. Yeah, it gives you all the colors. I don't even know if I'm gonna. Yeah, I guess we'll get to this, but I'm not even really too worried about getting the exact colors. Design. I guess that's just a bunch of images. Cool. So let's look at that. I think if you've got the pro version, so if I keep this up, it might be worth getting the pro version. You can you can download the like Figma files, etc. So this is the detailed page. This is the big page, the home page, I guess. List of all the countries, search, filter. We'll do dark mode, I guess, towards the end. Cool. And then we have, so that's desktop, and then we have mobile version as well. So the mobile, I guess it's just a big list, single item list. Cool. Okay. Seems okay. Yeah. All right. Let's give this a go. So I'm gonna use Vite for this. React. I'll focus. I think Material UI gives you dark mode out of the box, so I'll leave that to layer. See how that goes. Yeah. Let's just see how all this goes. Okay. Cool. So can I do a npm minute? Oops. Let's just call this solution. Or actually, how do I want to do this? Because npm Vite, yeah, I've done this before where it just deletes everything. Let me rename this a second. npm init. So Vite, and we'll call this one countries. Let's close this down. So let's do React. JavaScript, TypeScript. Let's do TypeScript. I'm trying to force myself to do TypeScript with everything so we can get used to it, even for small projects. Let's do that. And I'll copy over the designs, etc. Let's have a look at this. Hey Mohammed, how you doing? Oh, this is IntelliJ weirdness. Oh. Alright. Let's try to remove the IntelliJ file from this. Of course this happens. Let's try this again. TypeScript, yeah. I'm going for it. I'm going for it. My hope is that we improve with TypeScript. I think it's a pain if you're not used to it, but my assumption is that once you're used to it, it's fine. And I don't use it enough to be used to it yet. But I've used it on projects, but it always takes me too long to figure out the right types. But in this case, I will try it, and if it's taking too long, I will just chuck in anywhere that I don't like, or you guys can help me out. You guys can keep me right. Let's just start this straight away. And what do I need? So, oh, there it is actually. Well, let's just make sure this is all working first, actually. That should be fine, I think. All right, let's add. I'll put this over here to the side, all the documentation, so I don't keep switching. So we have, oops. So let's add material UI first, and then I'm going to chuck in React Router v6. So React Router, do yarn add. History. How's the font size? Cool. So that's React Router done. Material UI done. What else do I need? React Query. Cool. I think that's everything I need for now. We'll figure out the rest later. All right, let's that's running. Let's delete everything in here and get started on coding. So let's just clear everything up, and then we'll make sure we've got Material UI set up fine, React Router set up fine, and then we'll have a quick look at the API that we're going to use, the country's API, and we'll plan things from there. So let's start with hello world. Let's remove this CSS file. Just remove everything. Remove that guy. So this is all fine. Jump into the app. So what do we start with? Material UI. Okay. So I'll bring Material UI here just so you guys can see the docs as well as me. And one of the first things actually I want to do is, I want to install the fonts as well. So I think the fonts need to come from font source if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, font source. I'm going to do open. I can't remember what. Actually, we'll figure out the font later on, because maybe we'll use a font that maybe a font's provided. Actually, there's a style guide. Here we go. Font source. Untitled Sans. Cool. Font source Untitled Sans. Let's do that. And I think you need to also add it in. Typography. Cool. Let's see. I've got this from my other project, which I know. So let's add in the font here. No need to sign, and I think it was 3, 6, and 8. $300, $600, and $800. I don't know if that will work with Material UI. I might have to map things around, but yeah, let's figure that one out later. All right, so we jump into our app, and we need to wrap our app in some sort of provider. For theme as well. Okay, so let's go back to getting started. I think that's fine. Theming solution, I think, is what we're after. Lato. Lato, oops, Lato font. Assuming you mean font, yeah. Nunito. My go-to, I think, is Open Sans. Lato's also nice, yeah. Cool. Cool. So the theming, we're going to create a theme. Just keep it empty for now. Where's that input coming from? Interior UI styles, and then we want to, yeah, that's exactly what we want. Wrap this round with the theme provider. Material UI core. Also, let's make sure we got prettier working and set up. So I'm not gonna add prettier to the project, but I've just got a plugin that will help me format things fine. So yeah, there we go. So now it's all prettier. So I think that's all we need to get started with the Material UI, to be honest. There is a CSS baseline which I want to add in as well. So CSS baseline, I want to change this for typography, and I want to pop that as a variant. H1. We import that. The variants, the defaults for Material UI is always so crazy. Like, that's huge. I don't know why. And that's mobile, like it. So that's not. So you get this responsive fonts thing. Responsive font sizes, actually, which you can pass the theme to. And what that does is that will, yeah, I mean, it does exactly what it says. It just makes it responsive. So now it's, as it hits the default breakpoints, it's going to grow and shrink. Okay, that's a bit better. I think the rest is fine for now. So that's Material UI setup. I might change the fonts as we go along. What was next? Let's do router, React router. And this is just, so again, let's just open up the documentation for React router. And they've got in their docs, they've got the installation, getting started. I think this should be pretty trivial. So this is all the same. Yeah, so where previously they used to have this switch component in order to, I think I can't remember if it was as well as the roots. It's definitely as well as the router. They no longer have that. The switch component would just be able to tell which so it doesn't match multiple paths basically. And I think they also got rid of the, they've added navigate component instead of the redirect component, which is probably the main things. So we're going to have a countries page and we're going to have a country page, which we will fill in later. Let's just put this in for now. So this is the countries page, and this is the country page. That should be fine. So So let's go countries, and this will be countries slash some country. I can't quite remember how to pass in. I'm assuming it'll be something along the lines of this, but we'll focus on this detail here later on, because we'll figure out how to do that later on. And then what we need here is, what you like to do typically is, let's just see if this is working actually. It's not yet. Of course I need to do. So at slash, it's not going to do anything. At countries, it's going to show countries. So I want it to just redirect. And so that's navigate now. So we're going to navigate. If it doesn't match, we're going to navigate to slash countries, and we'll just leave it at that. I think that's it. Yeah. No. So this matches biggest paths. So if it's here, if it's empty, it navigates to countries, which is what we want. But if it's unknown, if it's not found, it just seems to stay there. We want to match everything. Relative links, index routes, no. Yeah, we want something like this, but we want it to navigate instead. I guess we could just put that in. Put that in, and a star. See if that works. Yeah, there we go. Cool. I guess this star path is midnight. Yeah, no worries, Mohammed. Feel free to stay as long as you want, and thanks for hopping in anyways. It might be a bit slow, some of these ones, but yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming in anyways. So, all right, we've got our countries. I'll figure out navigation later on. I'm assuming if I go to country, country slash somewhere. No, is that not gonna work? Countries slash somewhere. That's gonna go to country. Cool. All right, so that's that. Let's add the final thing, which is React router. No, React query. Sorry. And then I think we'll be ready to start. Actually, yeah, let's wait. Actually, React query. Let's add it when we need it. Let's have a look at the designs and see where we're at. So this is probably enough for a mobile screen. So I'm gonna make this small, just so I'm gonna start off with the mobile first, and then I will expand it out. So the mobile design is, yeah. Can I zoom in here? So we've got this header. We're in the world. We've got this dark one on the right. We have an input, filter, and then a list. So let's start with the header, I guess, and just list everything out. And also let's have a quick look at the API, which we've not done yet. So this is the API here. I did have a look at this earlier on. So all, yeah, basically it's just an open API, and if you hit the all, we're going to get back 250 items, and that's just going to be some of the details for the country. So you can see the name. I don't know what we need. We need to figure that out from the designs. So we need probably the name, population, region, and capital at the top level. And then we need a bit more detail when we go in. Cool. All right. That should be relatively straightforward. Let's jump in. let's add in a header and move on. Cool. So we have the root here. The roots, we only want them to really change. I'm going to add in my header here, and then we'll have the roots below that. Cool. Let's add a new header component. Actually, what I'll do is I'll pop the header in its separate file. I'm gonna keep some of these. I'm gonna try to keep this a bit organized. Probably a bit more, probably a bit overkill, but I will do that anyways. And we'll import that here. Hello, import. There we go. So that should be the header, and then we can now just work inside of here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, let's jump over to Material UI documentation, and I'm just going to take one of their headers straight from there, because why not? So we'll go to components, and they've got a bunch of these nice, oh wait, it's called app bar, isn't it? App bar, exactly. Let's take something like this. App bar with menu, basic app bar. And let's see how this goes. We need to take all their imports too. Cool. So app bar itself, static, which is what we want. Don't have the icons yet, don't need the box. So app bar, toolbar, I'm not going to do an icon button. Variant, component div, flex grow. Remove that for now. What was this called again? This design. Where in the world? So this is where in the world. Is that on? Yeah. Cool. And then we have this button. Is it a button? We have, yeah, dark mode, which we'll do later on, I guess. And we will need, so Material UI core, if you're going for the icons, I think you need a separate npm package. You need to install that separately. So we'll do that later on. Dark mode toolbar here, I believe, is a flex. So I think we can just let's just double check that. Yeah. So I think we can just do justify content, is it? Space in between in the toolbar. And so for one-off CSS things, so I think this is one of the big things they've done with Material UI 5. They've added this SX prop, I believe, to pretty much every component. If you want to do, I think it's just for one-off styles. And this basically gives you access to the theme, etc. So yeah, I'm not sure if they actually pass in the, yeah, the toolbar doesn't take in the standard flex or grid style. So in the SX I can do, I think I can do justify, or that's an object, justify content, space. Usually this has got autocomplete. There we go. Space. So that's fine, and I don't want the color there, so I will just keep the color as inherit for now, and I don't want any elevation as well. Elevation 0. So that gives us our header. Cool. Can I drag this onto here? Maybe that'll be easier. So there is a bit of a shadow there actually. So what we can do is see the different levels of shadows. Yeah, well, I don't know the exact level, but we'll keep it at 3, 4, 2. Let's keep it at that for now. Well, yeah, cool. So where in the world is that? That font doesn't quite look right, does it? Is that font right? Roboto. So it's still Roboto. Ah, of course, because I'm not actually set the font anywhere. So let's go inside create React, create theme. So this is where Material has got a default theme. Amandeep, just one watcher, indeed. One watch is all I need. Create theme. You can do typography, font family. I think, what was this one called? Nunito Sans. I have no idea if that's gonna work. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So that's looking okay. I think that's actually bold as well. And we can kind of, yeah, that should be bold and different weightings, etc. So I think it would have been the 800. So if I go back into the header, so this is a variant 6. So I guess the issue here is the mapping, which I don't want to spend too much time on kind of very specific Material UI mapping things, but let's just see if we can quickly change this one. So this is the font weight here will be 500, which we don't have for H6. So I think we can quickly change. What I can do actually for now is I'll just add I think you can override font weight. Is that medium or bold? Bold, let's see. Well, let's see if this is font weight bold. Pop that to 800. Medium. And would we import 600? Actually, yeah. So we'll figure out the exact font sizes and stuff maybe towards the end. But for now, I'm just going to keep it. What I'll do is I'll just actually I'll import the defaults. So I'll make sure we have 500. Or I guess there isn't a 500. Ah, yeah, they don't have a 500. Okay. I will, in that case, update the font as I did here. So medium is just going to go to 500. No, 600. There we go. So I'll just leave it like that. And now that's the header. I'll keep the header as is for now. Obviously it's got a lot more padding, etc., but we'll fix that later on. Let's just get kind of the standard layout. We want this file here. Let's see. Cool. So let's start working on this card component actually. Once we can render the cards, then we can start filtering and stuff. So we've got a header, and we can figure the rest out later on. So let's jump into countries. Country's going to grow here. So what I like to do in terms of folder structure typically is to have a pages directory. each page will basically contain everything it needs. So each page directory, another directory within here, will have everything it needs to render itself. And instead of, so a lot of people I think just have lots of kind of components which they rush to share. I try to avoid having that as much as possible. If I do need something shared, I might create a components directory. Actually, for now, I'll just keep it in the root because I can't imagine there being that much. We'll figure that out later, I guess. And then in here, I'll have countries.tsx and an index.tsx. So let's just add a component here. Actually, you can just take this component. And here I can just export the default component from countries. So that should be fine. Cool. This should be complaining. For some reason it's not yet. It's been quite slow. And I can just import this. There we go. And just while we're at it, I'm just going to do the exact same. I'm going to call this country. No. Country and country. There we go. So if I do something there, country, countries. Cool. All right, so that's this structure laid out. I think this is quite a decent structure. Now any additional components, if I want to separate out, will go inside here, whether it's inside a components directory or just in the top level. Anything that needs to be shared between those two probably won't be shared at first, but eventually we'll just, I guess, chuck in there. So here is, I guess now is a good time to introduce React Query. So where's React Query in documentation? So we've installed it. We can have a look at the quick start if I check this over here. So we need a query client, which I will create a query client up here at the top. The only thing I like to update by default in the query client is because I don't like the default behaviors for the fetching on, I think on focus, on window focus. Is that right? It's been a bit slow with IntelliSense. All right, we'll come back to that in a moment. Not use query client, new query client. That's why. So we want this, and then for the default options, we want the queries window. Yeah, this guy here, refetch on window focus to be false. This is when you click off and back on. Every time it's going to refetch, which I don't want. So I'm going to disable that. And I think that's it for now. And then we just want the query client provider here. And we'll wrap that. We'll wrap, I guess, everything in that for now. There. Almost everything. And that should be it. So now we have access to the query client. We have the router, we have the paths. We can do this guy as well, actually. We can jump into countries and try make our fetch. Okay, so let's do fetch countries. And this is going to be an async function. It's an async function. And we're just going to use standard fetch here. So we're going to await fetch. Oops. Fetch. and I'm just going to take this endpoint. I think this is the right endpoint to use for now. We'll go for that for now, and we'll see about, yeah, because that's just going to return everything. I don't think it, yeah, I think that should be fine. We'll see how it goes. Just a quick sanity check. If it's not okay, I'm just going to, I guess, throw an error. We won't do too much in terms of error handling for now, but we'll just chuck something here. Yeah. Error fetching countries. And then we'll just return response.json. I think that's fine. And now we can convert this, add braces. Now we can destructure. So I think it's use query. So we got a nice hook. So for, I guess, for anyone that isn't aware, so the use query, the reason I use query at all is just mainly, so it's got, it's got a lot of kind of additional functionality in terms of caching and things like that. But honestly, for me, it's, even for small projects, it's mainly just having to deal with the kind of loading error state things, the status basically of a call. It just makes life a bit easier. So even on a very, very, very small project, I'm going to use this. Yeah, it's just much, much simpler. So with the React query, you want to give it a key, and that's basically the index. Like, how does it know what to store, what to cache? It's all going to be based off a key. If the key is unique, then anytime you fetch with that key and that same function, then it knows to return the cache, and that's basically how that handles it. So in this case, it's just the country's call, and in fact, in this case, we can almost assume that this country's call isn't going to change often, right? So we can essentially just cache it forever, or for however often countries change their names or whatever. I mean, yeah, you could in theory just hard code it in, but we're just going to put in a really ridiculously big cache / stale time. We also need to remember the difference between those two, which I will get to. So that's the key. So anytime somebody does use query with the country's key and this function, if there's cache, then it's going to use that. And this should just do fetch countries, and that should be it. So this returns a few things, mainly data status error. And I think if we just pop the status here, let's just see if any of this is working or if I've broken everything. All right, let's see how this has gone. Loading success. Cool. And if we jump into the network tab, we should be able to see all. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, you guys can see that. Let's return 250. You can see everything here. Cool. Cool. All right. And for now, actually, so if you want to add options typically to use query, you can add, cache time, stale time stuff here. So I'm going to remind myself, I think, so the stale time, cache time, let's see. Yeah, so when you first basically load this page, the first render it will make the fetch. By default, the stale time is on 0 and the cache time is 5 minutes or something. So as soon as it makes the fetch, it marks it as stale because that's the default 0. But it says I'm going to keep this in cache for 5 minutes. So if there's the second call, basically, if you move away, or if there's another call subsequent, or different part of the page or something that's making the same call, what it does is it says, well, this is stale, so I need to trigger a refetch. But it has a cache available, and that cache is still there because it's in 5 minutes. So I'm going to use the value for the cache. So it brings in the cache value, and then the refetch is triggered. And once the refetch comes back, basically, it then updates the values. So what you'll see in theory is you'll see the existing or the old data until the refetch comes back, and then everything, any call that makes it will switch. Which is good. The other thing, which I actually I really like, which we can avoid a lot of even better than this. So I was going to use kind of the status and the error, and then what you can do is you can check if if it's a status, then do the loading thing. What we can do instead is we can use their suspense feature, which you won't really see. I guess you could see it here. Let's see if we can see this. So if we do app here, I think here I can just put in suspense true. And I love this one because this just makes life so much easier. Suspense true, and then what we do is we wrap, let's just say we wrap all our roots with suspense. React.suspense. We give a fallback of loading, for example. Ideally, this would be an actual spinner or whatever loading thing you've got going on. Main, and so that's just in this section. So if I refresh this, you can kind of see the loading state, and then it comes in here. So you don't need to worry about in any of these components. And you can have multiple React suspense components. You can do them however deep down, but it just means here I don't need to worry about handling the status at all. I've got the data that is undefined at first. I don't need to worry about, oh, is it going to load? Is it going to be there? Do I need to handle the scenario in which it's not? The suspense will just handle that for me, which is brilliant. I think I will just leave it there for now. Cool. So you got the suspense. You got the countries here. I'm just going to wrap this all in a main block, because this is basically where I want my main content to be. I think that's fine. In fact, I'm going to add, what I'm going to do is actually I'll use material UI's container here. Add import statement. There we go. I assume that's got some defaults, so that will just bring everything in a bit. So it's not, and it will just stop it. Cool, there we go. So that's done it for the body. I probably want something similar for the header as well. Although it's not quite clear in the designs, but I imagine that's a sensible thing to do. So let's add, what I'll do is I'll put React suspense over everything for now. I'll put the header within the container. Ooh, no, don't like that. I will not put the header within the container. I will put the content of the header within the container, which is also fine. I guess the container can go around the toolbar. There we go. No, doesn't like that either. Just need to import it. Cool. And one final thing, I think one of these have got gutters. I'm just going to disable the gutters here, so it's got the additional. There we go. There we go. So that's all fine now. And that just gives it a bit of padding on the outside. Perfect. All right, so let's move on to getting the. So we've got the list of. What's this? That's fine. So we've got the list of countries. Let's render them, I guess. Ooh. Let's quickly kind of type them. Give them a bit of a type. So what are they returning? So let's just say we need the name for now. So this is going to return a list of, well, it's going to return a promise, seeing as we are in TypeScript. Country response. All countries response, let's call it that. And this is going to be actually, let's just go back to basics. Countries, and each country is it's a list of countries, and each country has, let's just start off with the name. What did we say we needed for the mobile design? We need the name, population, region, capital. So let's look for population, region, capital. Population is a number. Region is a string, and capital is also a string. I assume capitals at the top level. There we go. Okay, cool. So that should give us enough to then go data dot. So we're going to map this, and in fact here, I don't know the best way to handle this, but for now, like in a TypeScript way. But because we've got the suspense, this is never going to. This is basically while this promise is unresolved. While this promise is unresolved, we can. It's going to go up, so we don't need to worry about this ever being empty. Just making sure that the audio is all great. Cool. So now we can map this. And let's actually, what we'll do is rename this to countries, just to make it a bit more explicit. And a country, and a country dot name, I guess, is what I want to try render. There we go. Not very pretty. Let's just put this all in a p tag. Typography tag. There we go. And see. Okay, cool. So now we have our entire list. So I guess now would probably be a good time to start working on a card. And again, I'm going to have a quick look at Material UI's card. I'm not going to be too worried about how it looks for now. We do want to start with mobile first, so we want the one column, but they do provide a grid type thing. So we can use that, and that should handle the responsiveness for us. So let's jump over to grid first, actually. So I'll do a grid of cards. And I think the designs, if we look at the designs here, the desktop one has got 1, 2, 3, so we've got 4. And by the time it gets to the mobile one, we have 1. So 4 and 1. So let's take this here. And cool, let's do this. So we want to return a grid. Let's add an import statement here. So we have a grid container. I'll just keep the spacing as 2. Grid item. So we're going to have the grid items. This is where we're going to map the items. And each item, so this is a 12 column grid. I'm just trying to remember. It's a 12 column grid. So if we want each item to take up basically 4 of them, so 4, 8, 12, so each item take up a third. And we want to, so the XS, okay, cool. So the different sizing, so you have the different mappings depending on the screen size. XS means it's small, so it starts from, it's kind of like media queries, right? So when it's small, what do you want to do? So when it's small, we want it to be 12, and we can just pick a breakpoint. So anything over, I don't know, let's just say XS is extra small, and then you have small, then you have medium. Let's just for now say medium. We'll do it 3. We might just change things as they go along. Yeah, let's basically do that. So what we can do is take this and chuck it in here, I guess. And inside here, we're gonna just add the country name. And this. So these are all now, hopefully. Let's make sure there's no errors here. There is an error. Ah, of course. I always forget about the keys. Let's do country. Do they have eddies? If not, I'll just use the. I guess I could use the country name. Yeah. Let's just use the country name as well. So that should check away that error. They all are, so we can see that they're taking up the full width now. And as they get wider, so at a certain breakpoint, which is medium, I can't remember exactly when that is, 960, you can see it goes to this 4, which is probably a bit tight. So I'm going to do large. So when it gets to this width, it goes to 3. So we can figure that one out there. And what you can do is you can just add multiple ones. So I can say, you know, stay small, and then, you know, excess, and then once it's small, then go up to 3. Once it's medium, or actually here I can do 6. Medium, I can do 3 here. So this is basically saying how many columns of the 12 columns should I take. So if it takes 12 columns, it's taking the full row. If it takes 6 columns, it's taking half, a third, and then a quarter. So this one works quite nicely. It's kind of safe. Only problem with it, well, the only kind of downside is it jumps. So it's kind of like, it should be facing here. It's quite jaggedy in a sense. So as you, it's, you know, there's a difference between it's responsive, not adaptive. So if you wanted adaptive, I think there is, you can kind of set these to auto and give the actual grid items themselves a max width. And all that, but I think for now it's fine. If you're not expecting people to, most of the time it doesn't matter because people aren't going to be kind of changing the size of the browser, so it doesn't need to be adaptive all the time as long as it's at minimum responsive. Cool. So let's do the card itself. Let's go to card over here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this over here, just out of sight for you guys, but that should be. Should be fine. So, what do we want to do? We want to do a card with an image, something like this. Bear in mind that this is what we're building on the left. So we want to do, yeah, pretty much the same. We want the image at the top, and then we want just the title, and then instead of this text, there's no actions, but this whole thing will be clickable, I guess. So let's take this code, and copy and paste as always. Cool, so let's pop this like this, and let's jump back in here. So I'm going to paste this card in here. We don't need the actions. We do need the card, we do need the card media, and we do need the card content. Text secondary, we will figure this one out in a moment. I will put the alt here as the country name. And the image, I assume we get the image back with the API, so let's just look for that. Flag, yeah, so there is, I guess, an SVG called flag, which is just a URL, so we can just use the country flag for that. Country.flag. Hey, not looking too bad already. Cool. What else do we need? So let's look at the light version. I'm gonna open up elsewhere. So it's rounded already. Doesn't have any of the shadow thing, so I might remove that. But again, not too bothered about that. Not a big fan of the shadows, kind of the elevation type. So we can actually change that straight away. The card. Although I want to remove this max width here. That will take up the full width there. Which looks a bit silly, actually. Let's give it a max width. I take that back. 345. Is that sound about right? Anyways, you can give it a max width, and what we can also do is in this grid. I can't remember which one it is. Justify, align. Ugh, I always get mixed up with all of these ones. I want to center everything, basically. I want to center it. Justify content, maybe. I always need to look up where's the cheat sheet. Or actually, we can just play around with it here. So let's look for our flex, which is up here. Oh, you guys aren't seeing that. Well, let's move this here. So we have our flex. We can just do justify content. So this is not what I'm looking for. Well, okay. Actually, I take this back. The items. If I want to center it, I would need to add a margin here. 0 auto, I think. There we go. We'll keep it like that for now, but I think there's a better way to do it. Yes, there's a better way to do it. Maybe not. Because I feel like I can do a max width here. Anyways, let's leave it like that for now. Cool. That doesn't look too bad. Does that look anything like the desktop design? No. It's a lot more spaced out here. Also looks like a lot more wider, like a lot wider. Cool. All right, we'll come back to that. No problem. Let's get all the functionality and roughly the designs, and then maybe we'll align items on the grid. Yeah. Align items. Let's try that. Align items. Yeah, no, the reason I said the reason this isn't working is because the grid itself is the full width. It's the card within the grid. So the grids, I wonder if I could just take this up one, basically. Move that, I'll go full width. And then, so now the items, the grid itself, the grid item itself, is not the full width. And then you can do the, is this align items center? No. Yeah, justify content. Then you can do justify content center. I think that might be a bit better than the other solution. This feels a bit better. Yeah, well, let's do that. Justify content center. Well, now we've got this big list. That way the card itself doesn't need need to we don't need to worry about sizes of the card. It's the, yeah, this here. Can you put in a max width directly? Yeah, I think you can. Cool. So let's just get the content in here, and then we'll get the functionality onto the next page, and then I guess that's everything. And then we'll maybe have a look at fixing up the design to match it a bit better. But again, not too worried about that. Oh, we do need to actually add all the filters in here, which should be pretty quick as well. Cool. So let's quickly add the text. So where's my design? Here we go. So population, region, and capital. So that should just be population. This region and capital. Capital and region. I think that should be fine. Body 2, that's all fine. Let's just add bold onto this. One thing I really always annoy me is I don't think there's a bold, there's not a bold like prop on the typography, which means I have to write things in bold like this, which is fine. But and actually, yeah, the typography was always a bit long, anyways. Yeah, it's fine. So align items with the grid, the inner grid, not the outer one. Ah, yeah, of course. Let's go back to that. Because I think you're right, Mush. If I did that, that would work. Let's go try that one out. So let's move this. This was in here. SX. And this had a max width of 345. And then Mush is saying, and J-Man, align items, center. Ooh. What's that, align items? The inner grid, not the outer one. I think that's what we're trying out. Again, I think this would work if I set the max on the grid itself, the grid item. So either I'm doing something wrong. No. So these grid items like this, the grid itself is full width. The card, the content. So unless there's like a align content, maybe just justify the content as the correct one. Sure, yeah, I always forget this ones, but yeah, I think that one kind of makes sense, anyways, to have maximum on the basically the wrapper. This grid is pretty much just the top level, just the top level flex item, and we're setting the maximum width on that. Yeah, it's a billion different ways to do it. You could also add a bit of padding on the inside and keep that full width, but this is fine. Justify it in the center, and then just making the grid itself a max width. That's absolutely fine. Cool. Let's move this back here. And yeah, we've got the population looking half decent. I don't think the color is meant to be. I think it's fine as black. So let's remove that. And let's change this card actually, because I'm not a big fan of these ones. Get a variance, and I think I like the outline ones. Outlined. I'm not a big fan of the shadows. And in the header, I'm actually just going to remove the elevation completely. It won't look exactly like the designs, but that's fine. So that's that. So I think that's close enough to this, and then we have when it's bigger, that's okay as well. The only probably thing I would caveat with this is it probably just needs to be a bit wider. So you can, because I've got my container here, I can just add a max width onto this. Oh, that's not max width here, is it? Sorry. Oh no, it is max width. And then I can do XL, which just makes it a bit bigger. And then I can increase the spacing. So I'm not sure. That probably is a bit. Or maybe we could give these a max width, but I'm not going to worry too much about that actually right now. So let me just try one quick thing, which is the spacing inside here. Let's give it like. Let's give it big spacing. That looks all right. Cool. Let's keep it like that. That looks okay. But I should probably change the header as well to be container max width. So you can override all these props in the theme as well, the top level theme. Instead of changing it in each component, so you can override the default somewhere in here, which I can't quite remember, so I'm not gonna. I think unless I can find its overrides, I can't remember the name. Breakpoints, components. Definitely could be components. Yeah, and then you can go container, default props, and then change, I guess, max width to be, XL. And that way it should be able to remove this. Small thing, but if you're going to use container as a default, then yeah, it makes sense to have that. Yeah, that still works. Cool. All right, let's make these clickable. How are we doing for time? Okay, let's make these clickable, and we'll navigate to the. So these will navigate you to the country page. And there's a few different ways you can do this. Because I've got all the data, I could just pass it in, pass over the state with React Router or something along those lines. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make another fetch on that page. So I'm going to redirect, I guess, to the country. With the country, I feel like country name might not be the best, because there might be some weird names, like with these things. I don't know how that will work. Let's try it. Maybe country code. I don't know. Let's give it a go. So I guess I can make this card. Where's my countries file? I guess I can make this card clickable. Yeah, and actually that gets me thinking, should this card then just be, because realistically this is just from a semantic HTML point of view. What's the thoughts? Semantic HTML point of view, what should be, this is just a list, just an unordered list of links, maybe? So should this be a UL with just unordered list of items, or unordered list of A tags, basically links. That would probably be the better semantic way to go. But yeah, let's let's see if we can do that. Let's try that quickly, because this could turn into I don't know if this one takes in the component prop. I don't know if I'd want the full thing to be an A tag actually. Maybe just the title, or just the image or something. That could be wrapped in a. Let's see how that looks. So the image is now a link, and then because I think the usual pattern I see is that, you know, maybe the image is a link, and then maybe the title is also a link or something along those lines, but not necessarily the entire card. So let's do the image as a link, and for links, so they do have their own Material UI have their own link component. And the way they recommend usually is to have the link and then actually make the component itself, because React Router also have their own link. Do I have React Router here? Let's try guess this one. Import, I think it's link as from React Router DOM or something along those lines. Let's see if that works. And then what you can do is you can just pass in the, I think they take in the to prop, and that would be slash, I guess, country. Let's try country dot name for now. We might have to change that. I don't know if I need to also add in countries. Yeah, I do. Oh, unless I just pop this in. Which is fine, but I don't know if that's the best of ideas. It's better to have that. I can't remember if there's an issue with having that path relative. I'm just going to assume it's fine for now. Cool. Is that all fine? Let's make sure that's fine. Let's go back, make sure the countries is fine. Interesting thing. So actually, yeah, let's try. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly add a back button in the country. So let's just add. Does it have a back button actually? Yeah, so there is a little back button here. So let's just add a quick back button. That's fine. Back, and we'll do a variant of outline. Is it outlined? I can't remember. Actually, there should also be a link. Let's pop this as a link. in fact, can we just... I can't remember if in React Router you can just... yeah, maybe I should go back that way. Yeah, this way is fine. So this is just a link now. I think that looks like a button. That's fine. And if I click back, it's going to take me back to the countries list. Now, interesting thing here is, so you can see when I click on Afghanistan, dropping into Afghanistan, click on the network tab. While I go back, it's making another fetch. This is coming from disk, but it's still making another fetch. Or is, I wonder if I... So it's making another fetch every time, although it is, you know, it is being cached, I believe, because you can see that, yeah, it's serving it from disk. But if you jump into here, we can add options here, because we know this is almost never going to change, right? We can add a cache time of, I don't know, like infinity, and infinity. Don't do this in real application, everyone. And we'll add a stale time of infinity. We're basically saying this is never gonna change. I wonder if that just no longer makes the call at all anymore. So now if I jump into Afghanistan and I go back, is that still... Yeah. So that just doesn't make any call at all. Where I think when you do have a stale time of 0, what's going to do, let's try this out, is it will invalidate fetch, but fetch it from disk. So it's still going to make, if I go in and back, every time I go back, it's still going to make that request, but it gets it from cache. But yeah, we can just say don't do that at all. I don't know where it comes from otherwise. Pretty sure it comes from the same place, but now when we do this, it's not gonna make that network request. Anyways, just a nice little thing to know about if you're working with actual bigger performance issues, which I guess we're not too worried about. Let's see if this weird character, this A here, makes a difference. I guess not. And actually what we need to do is we need to figure out the API. Yeah, so there's one by name, one by full name. What's the difference between these? Search by country. Like generally, when you're looking at like this kind of things, it's nice to think about the user and the API. I've seen this, a lot of people make this mistake. If we're, you know, I've explicitly called this countries, might not be the exact name, but you know, you want to be a bit explicit with this name. And then if you think about another, in a way, another accessibility thing is the link copy and pasteable as well. I've seen a lot of people kind of do a lot of things in state, you know, React, with React, which means you can copy a link and paste it to someone and they won't see what you're seeing because it, you know, depends on state, kind of pushing buttons, and you know, especially if you're not using React Router to its potential. So in this case, for example, you could have, I guess you could have multiple links that point to the same thing, but in this case, you know, you've got Afghanistan here, which just means I can give this link to someone and they will see this page, and it also just means, you know, I can change that. Obviously you're not seeing anything now, but yeah, you can kind of search for something here. You can paste that link, or you can even search directly, and that should work in theory. But obviously, in this case, the only reason I'm questioning this is that the name kind of has room for error here. You know, what if you type in, what if you misspell, or you know, United Kingdom? Is it United Kingdom, or is it United, or is it Scotland, England, or is it United Kingdom of, you know, Northern Ireland and Great Britain, or wherever it is? Just something to think about. United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So if I click on that, that's a whole load to remember. Anyways, okay, let's do this one, and we'll keep the name in just because it's nice, and we'll do the name API. Search by country name. It can be the native partial name. What does that even mean? So if I do Algeria here. That returns a list. If I do United, I see. Okay, and if I do, that's that one. So if I add full text is equal to true, full text equals to true, it's not going to be found. And if I do one that is found, so it always returns a list, but it's going to be one item. Full text equal to true. Should we do that? No, I think we do United, and we just take the first. We just take the first one, and we call it that. Yeah. That way you could make a. What if I United? What if I misspell this United? Is that fine? United? No. But if I partially do it, it will just. Okay, that's fine. This is me overthinking things. Like, I mean, realistically, you're going to click onto this and it's going to always be the exact name. So I could just start off with that. I'm thinking of a scenario of people typing in things in the search bar, which is not really required. So actually, you know what, let's just keep it simple and do the exact full text equals true. So let's just copy this, jump into country. Actually, we'll copy this guy. And so fetch country is going to take in a name, which is going to be string. It's going to return, I think does it return the exact same object? I think so. So I don't want this to be here anymore. I'm going to pop this just in a file called types or something, I guess, for now. And we want to export this. We want to import that here. So I'm going to import type countries from. There we go. Doesn't like that still. Ah, there we go. Don't know why I didn't like that. And we're going to do the same thing here. I don't know if having that the same name is a good idea, but I like the being explicit with the type here as well. So it's easy to see that this is a type. So we're fetching the country. We've got the name. We want to replace this with which one was it? This guy. And we want to add the name there. So we can do this. I think that should be fine. And response JSON here. I'm thinking of just where, because we can, because it returns a list, we could just abstract out the fact that it's a list here. I'll just leave it in, just assume it's the same. And then if we turn this into that guy, we can just copy and paste this here. Countries. What we can do here, in fact, is I'm just going to do country. And I'm just going to assume data. I'm just going to assume it's the first one. I guess it should be the first one. Fetch country. And now this here should take in, or can take in, I forget how to do this. It takes in country and it takes in something else, which I cannot remember. Use params maybe. I can't remember how to get the parameters out of, because what we want is the parameters out of the URL. I can't quite remember how to do that. Where's my React router documentation? So I'm just having a look to find. I can't quite remember how to do. I think it might be use params. Let's see what this gives you. What does this return? Returns params. What's that look like? It's a string. Let's do name. Is that what I called it? So in the app.tsx, you have, I've called it just country. What's wrong with this? Doesn't like that. Country. And I think you can type this. I cannot for the life of me remember params. Maybe it's like this. Maybe not. Let's look at what excuse me, let's look at what params are here. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to also look at the documentation for React Router dev, figure out how to get the params out of. If anyone can remember that, feel free to give me a hand with this one. Or actually, let me change this. I feel like this is causing an issue. Countries. Yeah, let's call this countries response for now, just so that doesn't cause any issues with this. And then country, can use this guy because I'm going to figure out what that is. Yes, let's look into the docs and let's go into tutorial, or let's go into the API reference. That's probably a good point. Use params. Yeah, I mean, it should just be able to use params and do country like that. Use params, get a user ID param from the URL. Let's see if that's going to work. And let's do country name, which means I need to go back to my app and do country name here. Let me refresh this guy. Here we go. United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates, which is exactly what we want. That's fine. This is fine. So country implicitly has any type of does not have any annotation. Well, let's get back to this anyways. So I think country name can get chucked in there. So the key, we want countries and we want country name. And then the query function, I think, takes in here the context query key. I can't quite remember also how to do that. Okay, so that's something else I need to figure out. Where do we get the name from here? Because I could easily just pass in country name like that, but I can't remember if we're better off taking it from the context here. Page param, query key. Let me just quickly check if there's a better way to do that. So when we to-dos, is there a kind of a bit to do? Let me check. I'm just quickly checking one of my previous projects if I can remember how I did this. If not, because I'm not big. I always find it I always struggle a bit to navigate React Queries docs. Let's do. Okay, I think it's fine as is. I think it's fine as is. All right, let's keep it as is. So let's make this small again. Okay, let's see, how's the page looking? Okay, so let's pop this here. So let's expand this a bit and see what's going on. So can I access country before initialization? I think this is all fine. Refresh, it's no there. So we're getting the country. There's a few renders here. I'm not sure why, but we'll figure it out. We've got the country now, and let's just see if we can name that country. Country.name. There we go. Okay, cool. So that works. And Nigeria. That works. I wonder if it's case sensitive. I guess so. Cool. Albania. Let's try Albania. Yeah, it's case insensitive, which is good. Cool. So we click in. We are in Albania. So now let's have a quick look at the designs for this. Let's go back to mobile. We want the detailed one. So it's just going to show the flag, and then, yeah, and then details, and then border countries. Cool. So let's do that. Let's get. Oh, actually, let me keep this somewhere on the right so I can have a reference point to that. Cool. So we just want things to kind of flow. So we have the button on the top, and then we have so we just put in an image here, I guess. Source of country dot flag, alt of country dot name, and let's just pop in a max width of, what's this? Can I do a width of 100%? That's fine. Are these all going to be the same? I wonder. With slightly different sizes, I guess. That's fine. This could, in theory, also be a card. Do you get cards in? Can you? Let me just double check something. I just wonder if you can do a card without, like a card without the outline, etc. Because at least that will give us the structure of this kind of page. Just like this, and it's got the nice, all the images will be roughly the same size. Can I take the card and can I do variant? What's the variance here? I guess it's just outlined. I guess we could, in theory, yeah, take a card and update it and to remove everything, but yeah, we don't need to do that just now, I guess. Let's see if I can, in that case, jump over here and just focus on the height. Just give it a fixed height. It's probably not a good idea. All right, let's just keep it with the max width. And then, I mean, we could in theory then just box this in a bit. But I don't mind actually so much. We'll keep it like this for now. We'll change. We'll fix kind of the padding stuff later on, but I don't mind the flags being a bit bigger. And then here we just basically have a bunch of typography things. So variant, what did we do for the countries one? We could just kind of replicate that. Variant body 2. Or actually just do body 1. And let's do a bold something. So the first one's going to be native name. Like that. Cool. So here we're going to have to search for a few things. So we need native name. Native name. Hey, these ones are in Arabic. Cool. And we're going to have to update the types. So where's the types here? Native name. Region. I'm just going to assume the names, and if they don't work, we can fix them later. TLD, is that right? Or is it top level domain? Top level domain, and that's an array actually. That's a list of top level domain, which is looks to be a string, array of strings. Currencies, that's definitely an array. So let's do currencies, which is going to be a list of currency. Let's do languages. Languages, which is going to be an array of languages. And border countries. Border countries, which is just borders. Borders, which is nice and easy string. So let's create this type. So currency and language. So currency is just going to have, where's currency? The only one we really need about, only care about here is euro. So that's, so we could get the code symbols and everything. I'm just going to get the name here, which is a string. And for language, all we care about is name as well. I could actually just combine these into the same thing, but yeah. So I think that's everything. So now let's go back here, and what we'll do is we'll open up country, native name, that's fine. Population, region, subregion, capital, top level domain, yes, top level domain, currencies, which is going to be country dot, so this is going to be currencies, and I'm just going to get the first one dot name and hope it's there. I guess I could protect against that, but that's fine. And same with languages. Oh no, yeah, languages. Dot join. So I'm just going to join these languages on a comma. Or actually, it's probably better off here to. No, that's fine. So that's probably fine. Languages.map. So we're just going to map it language to the language name. Language.name. So mapping it to the name and then joining it. That should be fine. And I just need to make sure there's a space after all of these. Cool. I think that's that. We could add a space here. So the Material UI, they use a lot of this box component. So if you let's see, capital here. So after this one here, they have this box component, which is kind of like it's a layout component in Material UI, and it's basically for wrapping things and adding styles. That's the main purpose of it. It doesn't itself render anything. I think for arbitrary things like this, like just hey, we need a spacer. I wonder if they've got spacer. Does anyone have a spacer? No. You can just do a box of, and they've got a bunch of props that you can add. So I can just give this one a height of, I don't know, 2. I think that uses the spacing internally. So let's see if that works. So this height of 2 pixels. Okay, so let's just give this a height of 2 rem, I guess. That's how you could split this up. Really, we want these all split up, and we could add kind of a flow type component here. Should we add that in now? Yeah, let's add that in now. So basically here, batting back. So this image, I mean, we can add a one-off style for this image here. I think using the SX component. I wonder if this takes in margin like Y. Y. That. Let's see what that does, if anything. Maybe not. Of course, it's an image. Let's wrap this in a box. This is what the box is useful for. So this is a one-off style. SX. Is there a margin Y? Yeah, there is. So again, let's pop that as 2rem. So we can add that there, and then what we can do is we can add a kind of a flow component to everything else. So if you imagine, so when I say flow component, if you've heard of, what was it called? The owl selector. Owl selector, CSS. This is what I mean by flow component. Lobotomized owls, yes. So you can kind of add this selector that will give a margin on top of every child. Now the weird thing is trying to get the syntax in here. Let's see if we can do this. So this one will have to be 100%. I don't know if we need to something like that. And then you want to add another object. Margin top of, let's just say 1rem here. Let's see if this does anything. Oh, yeah, it does actually. It's not bad. So does it do it without this? No, it doesn't. Oh, wait, no. I've done something wrong there. I thought I saw it working for a moment there, but I guess it doesn't. So what you can do, let me just have a quick look, because I need to figure out, I can't remember how to select. I think it is star plus star will select all but the first child, so every basically sibling element. But the thing that I don't know if I need to do here, because I don't know if I need to add the greater than sign to indicate that I think you do, okay, because this greater sign basically indicates, well, we're attaching this onto the parent, and then we're basically saying, look at the direct children, look at all the children, but not the first elements, all the children that have siblings. I can't remember exactly the explanation for it. So if you did just the star, it would be all the children. But if you do star plus star, it's all the children that have a sibling, which means it skips out the first one. It's probably explained badly. Anyways, it explains it here. Look for that. Lobotomized owls. And this could, you could just turn this. I usually take something like this and I convert it into a kind of a component just called flow. And that way I can just add it anywhere and it will just give me kind of a flow of content with some kind of consistent spacing. So it just means other than that first element, which I think is the title. So this, starting off here, everything's got a margin top. Let's add border countries, and I think that's pretty much kind of the bulk of the app. I'll probably call it soon. Maybe quickly try add dark mode, and that will be the 80. It's all about 80-20. This is 80%, I think, the right design. So let's quickly add, take these. Border countries is a bit bigger, so I'm going to do like a, ooh, it's definitely not H2. I mean, it could be, component wise, it could be, actually it could be whatever. I think I'm just going to keep that as a P, but it's, let's just see if it's variant H3, H4, H5, let's see the different sizes. Yeah, that's a bit better. And also we forgot to update this to languages. Border countries. How have I broken the... Is it just me? I thought I've somehow broken my Is this actually working? I have no idea what's going on here. So this works until I refresh the page. That's odd. What's going on there? Let's see the style in action. So if I jump in here, I can see that spaces don't really matter. But if I refresh it, now that has got me confused. Why could that be? That is super confusing. So that works if I change it here. Let's just change this all here. But when I refresh the page, what's going on when I refresh the page? That's crazy. Or it's me being silly. Probably me being silly, but I can't for the life of me figure out why that's. So if I edit here, like, it doesn't matter what I do, add a space, doesn't really matter. That works. If I refresh, oh, maybe there's, if I refresh the page, that goes away. Ooh, yeah, definitely don't want that. Well, actually, what does it look like on? Oh, of course, we've still got the big design to do. But anyways, what's the console saying? Is that an old Yeah, it is. Okay, I'm not sure why this isn't working. I thought I've done this one before, so let me just have a quick look at. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what I'd expect it to be. I'm not sure why that's not working. I'll have to come back to that. I don't want to stick around too much on that same issue, but if anyone can figure out why this doesn't work, if I do, when it hot reloads, that works, but when I refresh it, that does not work. That's crazy. Okay, so let's, in the meantime, let's change this to a stack to try that out. So this is a new Material UI element. Stack. Let's move this because I've not actually seen it, but I can't remember what. Material UI stack. I think it's like a. There we go. Next. I think it's, so instead of the grid, it's like just a flex. Let's look at the demos. Yeah. So I guess this is an alternative to flow actually. So let's do spacing 2. There we go. And this time when I refresh it, I wonder if they're also using the lobotomized. No, they're just using flex. This is all just a flex. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Cool. So now we've got the flex. We want to, where's my designs? We want to show these kind of, I don't think they're buttons. Or maybe they are buttons. Let's look at the design spec. Well, actually, let's just assume they are buttons. It's not a big a deal. I wonder if I can do another stack here, because I think you get the direction, row, and let's just add a few buttons. Or actually, what we'll do here is, do we have, so it'll be country dot borders dot map, border, just like that. I think I need to give it a key. I always forget this one. Let's just try that. There we go. We just call this, we'll give this a variant outline, or outlined. And we'll give this a spacing. I like the stack component. Also of 2. There we go. So, and these buttons are going to be also links. So component, have I done this before? I think I have. Component reactor link and 2. I think I can just do 2. Ooh, I need that. Slash countries slash border. Yeah, I can do that. Oh wait, no, I can't do that because so the border countries. I think I was looking. I don't know if I was looking at the wrong part of the API. Borders. Top level domains. So the border is using the country code, alpha 3 code, whereas I am using the name in the link, so I can't link those two together. I guess I could, in theory. Yeah, I could in theory, but that's... yeah, I'm not going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and not do that. Need to head off. Stack looks interesting. Nice one, Mush. Thanks for joining. Nice one. Cool. Let's... how long has that been? 2 hours. Okay, so let's leave the link because we can't link it right now, and we'll come... Maybe we'll come back to that. We'll just leave it as is. I guess we could, so my thinking is we could, because right now we use the name, so we can't use that, but we could do, basically duplicate this, right? And this could be country code. We could either just change it to country code or just do country code. The only problem with that is everything else in here will work other than this API call. So then we would just need to think about how can we have, we can either just duplicate the, we could just duplicate the exact, this exact component, abstract this out, that's it. That would work absolutely fine. So a few different ways to do that, and that way you could just use the country name or the country code. But I'm gonna keep it like this. I'm gonna keep it like this. So let's just see how this looks right now. I think that looks fine. I'm gonna remove any, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just remove the link here. So they're just gonna be buttons, but they won't do anything. So just like that. so they're just nice buttons. And annoyingly, does this have a margin top? Because that's a bit too close for my liking. Yeah, so let's compare that one with this. Excuse me. That looks all right. If I go back here, let's have a look at the design for the... So that looks fine, I guess. So I don't want to stay for too much longer. So what I'm going to quickly implement is, I'll try quickly implement the inputs, the filters. Because I mean, this is the main. I guess the 80%. We've got that. We've got these guys. The in terms of responsiveness, this looks fine when we take it out. So that probably looks like this. That's fine. So we just need to add that filter, and that will be it. The filter should be. We could probably get the filter in quite quickly, I think. And then we'll quickly try out dark mode, and I think that will be, I would say that's like 90% of the way, and then it's just about fidgeting with specific sizes and stuff, which I'm not really gonna get into. But yeah, let's quickly do that. So how do we want to do this? Let's go to countries, and we're just going to do it. We're not going to do a proper. We're just going to do an in-memory kind of filter. It's just all going to be in here. So we're just going to do inside our grid. We're going to have a. Yeah, I'm going to use this stack thing. I like it. And that's going to have a text field. Which I can't remember how to do, and we're going to have a select as well, which I also can't remember how to use. And the stack is going to be direction column and justify content space between. Oh no, sorry, row. Oh, it's not like that. That's interesting. Why doesn't it like that? Of course, it's in the grid. Ooh, doesn't want to be. Okay, let's do this. Take it out of the grid. There we go. That's a bit better. And let's just give this a bit of a margin bottom. Cool. So that's that. We'll do the text field, I guess, first. Material UI. Let's just. I forget the syntax of it all. So let's jump into here. V5 documentation. Components. Text field. There we go. Yeah, let's take this guy here. And we want this to be controlled, actually. Controlled input, and we'll just follow it with state. So let's do don't need the ID here. Label, we add a label. Search for a country. So I mean, this design we could, yeah, I guess we could take it from Material UI. Let's leave that out for now. Let's call this search, and let's do. So we'll add this. We'll come back to the select. Can I give this a width? Full width? That's going to take the full thing, isn't it? Yeah, we don't want that. Let's do. Oh, actually, I think I can do SX here. Let's just give it 300 pixel width. Well, what's the width of that? What's the max width? I can't remember the max width I set on the 345. Let's give it the same width as that. But then what does it look like on here? Ah, so okay, so we're better off actually maybe just making this a grid, because we want it to wrap. Although, will it wrap? Can it wrap round? Flex wrap. What is this, a boolean? Yeah, wrap. So I'm assuming once we have some select items, it might wrap around, but we'll get to that. So we want to basically add a use state here. Let's just call this search set search, and it's just going to be empty. And we'll import use state, and then in here we will do the value is going to be. So we're just going to make this controlled search, and we will on change set search to, I guess it's going to be event, and we want to set that to event.target.value.target.target.value. I think that's it, give or take. And then what we can do, this is running really slow, we can just simply do const filtered countries is equal to excuse me, countries dot, can I do a filter? Yeah, countries dot filter, and I want to filter the countries by where country, let's see, yeah, with a country dot, there's a name, let's just to local, lower to lowercase, I guess includes the search. Which should mean, let's do a quick refresh, if there's nothing, yeah, I'll need to handle actually search, well, let me handle that in a second just so we can see the output. So here, and then I want to do, instead of iterating over the countries, filtered countries. And I'm going to do dot trim as well, actually, because you don't want to just put in a bunch of spaces. Countries dot search dot trim. Search dot actually also too lower. I think that should be decent enough. That should be fine for what we want. There we go. So spaces aren't going to break everything. Although, yeah, I was about to say, if you wanted to search something with a space, this wouldn't work. But I guess it's a weird requirement. Yeah, you could keep all the spaces. There we go. So United Kingdom. So as you search, it's going to filter. That's fine. I think that's fine. And if I do weird characters, it's not going to do anything. Cool. And then the second last thing. So let's do the select. And then we'll quickly try to do the dark mode. Select, there we go. So the select is a it's not select, yeah, there we go. Here we go. So let's copy this guy. And then how does this on change? Handle change. Yeah, okay. So let's do. Yeah, so they're adding the box around. I could probably do that, but let's do this here. In fact, let's just add the box around for both of these. So we can add in import statement here and menu item. Cool. I don't know if that's added all the imports. It's been a bit slow. My laptop can't quite handle the stream. Ooh, okay, so this is interesting. We want to filter by region. Can we get a list of all the regions? I guess we could just hard code the region. Are these all the regions? Yeah, I think so. Let's just pop them all in here. Europe and Oceania. So when they say region, they just mean, is that just all the continents? Asia, so we've got Africa, Americas, Asia, Europe, Oceania. So let's take all these. Oops. That should be that, and then we can just do region, and on the on change, let's just come back here and we'll just basically take this guy, just put it in line. I don't usually like to put things in line like this, but I think it's fine in this case because there's no kind of complex logic or anything going on. So I think these are here for accessibility as well. So let's call this region select region there, and then we can just add another. Oops, what's going on here? So region here and region here, and we'll start off with, I guess, we can start off with, yeah, actually, how do we want to do this? In the designs, they have filter by region, so like we could just yeah, we could just default to the first one. I wonder if we could just start off with nothing, and you click one, sets it, but then you can't remove the filter. Oh, that's always annoying if you wanted to remove a filter. I wonder if I can. Yeah, okay, we'll just keep it like that. I think we could, I'm just thinking here, we could have it so that, I mean, by default you can't deselect a filter, but here, for example, you can just put in a non-option, which is just like an empty value, right? So let's give that option here. I think I'll do that. Just like this, and then I can filter based off of that, basically. So you can, if I refresh this page, yeah, so you can select none. I guess when you're in none, it's not going to show anything there. I could explicitly add it in as none and make that the default. Yeah, it's a few different ways I guess you could do that depending on how you want to handle that UX. I'm just going to leave it as is. So I want to filter by region here. So we've got filtered countries, and then I guess we just need to put it back. We need to put it through and filter again. So I guess it depends on which one you want to filter first. Or does it matter? Yeah, I don't think it matters. So we can do another filter here. I believe. We'll see. Country.region I guess is equal to region. And here we only want to do this one if so these two don't have a region. So we only want to do this if country.region is not. Well, I guess we could just do it like this. So if we're on none, we just country.region. I guess not equal to, maybe this is the best way to do it. Oh, sorry, no. I'm thinking region. I think that should be fine. Can we do this? So what do we want to do here? If the region is none, we want to show everything. This is where my mind blanks on something quite basic. So do Africa, if it's none. Oh, so I think that will be fine. So if the region is empty, then it's just gonna return everything. It's true. If the region is not empty, it's gonna jump into, I was doing that and there instead of the or. Africa, it's just gonna show the African countries, and then within the African countries, I should be able to further filter. And if I do United, it's gonna show. If I do United Kingdom, it'll show nothing. If I do none, yeah, there we go. Both filters. There we go. That's fine. And I think that's pretty much the app. There's two things I've not done, and I might quickly try tackle them anyways. So this, I've not done this view. Which I think we can maybe quickly do that one. We can try to do that one. So as this goes in, we want to basically turn this into a, I guess this is a stack. In fact, it's a, yeah, stack that wraps round. I guess. And then so is this, basically. This is a bit of a complex layout. So let's quickly do that, and maybe we'll do dark mode. Well, let's try to do this one anyways. So, because I'm not too familiar with stack yet. I think in stack you can control the dividers. Yeah, you can't quite control the so in a grid you can control how many items are in the column. So you could just say it's a 2 column and then it's a 1. But in stack you kind of need to rely on the spacing, which might be fine actually. That might be exactly what we want. Let's try it out quickly. So let's go over to country, and we want to do. No problem with this. It becomes stack city. Stack upon stack. We want to do a stack of 2 items. So I think that should be that. The first stack is, let's do direction. This is going to change. Yeah, let's do row. So that's that. But the problem with that is obviously this gets that gets tiny. So let's do here. I think flex wrap would work like that, right? So we have, this is basically that view we had earlier on, which is fine. And then at a certain point, it goes over, which is fine. So what we're going to do is let's make this, and we'll keep the default size. So we also want to do justify, whichever one. We need to center this again. I can never figure out, yeah, justify content center. So this will be centered because it's a flex, but it's wrapping around. And then once the bottom bit's got enough space, it just moves up. And the great thing with this, I think we could just add a spacing of like, let's add quite a big spacing here. There we go. I think that's quite close. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Only problem with this now is that this is losing a lot of. We can maybe look into that later on, because I know if we take away this 100. Oops. Well, let's see if we can take away this 100. What does that do? Of course. Well, we got that. Okay, so we also want to do the same. Same with these guys. So these two become a stack within a stack. I think they've also got their own stack, so there's a lot of stack things going on here. So let's do a stack here. Actually, what we'll do first is let's figure out where the split is capital. Yeah, this is where we added that box, right? The box of 2 rem. So here we want to add another. We basically want to add a stack here. All the way to, where is it? Countries here. And then we want to do another stack from, where is that? Here to the box. At this point, this is where it becomes a lot easier to start splitting things up, by the way. Definitely not nice to look at all these nested stacks and stuff. So, you know, split this up into a component, split that up into a component. It becomes much easier. But I think the point here is that this can be a direction of row. with a flex wrap of wrap, and that will hopefully kind of somewhat give us the behavior we're wanting. And again, spacing, we'll chuck in quite a big spacing there. Oh, that is not what we want. Oh, we've already got spacing. So that spacing actually doesn't quite so this spacing, let's see, this is not quite what we wanted. So yeah, there's a few things actually we can solve here. Try to think which way I want to do it best. Let me undo a few of these things because I don't. Let's jump back to this. So I think the safer way for this one is to just. So we got the wrap, but the problem with the wrap is obviously you don't have control. So I could just. I'm gonna go for a grid for now. And at least with the grid, we'll have a bit more. Where's the top? I think that's fine. A bit more control over how things are placed. So grid, container, and what we'll do is we'll give it the same spacing, but XS we're going to say 12. And then anything over like medium, I guess, we're going to say 6. I think that should be fine. I think that should be fine. Just making sure everything's okay. So that's fine, and we just want to obviously we want this to be centered. I just need to remember how to center this. So let's look at this guy. Div, yeah, this guy here. This is a flex. Yeah. So how do I justify content? Is it justify content? No. Although this is oh no, it should be. Justify items. I always forget. Align content. It could be one of 3 align items. Okay, so I'm definitely doing something weird. Maybe because I've not got the. Of course. So this is the flex. So in the flex here, justify content. I'm just wondering why is what's going on here? If I make this bigger. Container, we have one grid item here. Let's add another grid item here. Forget about that spacing for a moment. Of course, because I'm putting in this in. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm putting that on the wrong part. Alright. Needs to go on the item. There we go. So that's fine. And then when it gets to this size roughly. So let's move that to like large. I think that large is fine. So it basically move this to large as well. So it stays like that, and then when it gets to a certain width, yeah, we're fine there. And I'm just going to quickly add on top of that grid, let's just add that margin top. 1 rem is fine, I think. Why is that so big? Margin top. What's going on here? 1 pixel? Maybe because of the spacing there, the spacing unit, of course. So let's just add a box around this guy. So we can add a box here, and we can just do a margin bottom of 1. That's maybe a bit better. Cool, so that's that. This is now kind of the general layout of this is fine, and we can again play around with the widths, etc. of that. There. Let's see if this is all finally fine. Ooh, got a few errors. Okay. Border can be used as a key. That makes sense. Wait, no, it doesn't. Ah, yeah, because it's I got 2 of the same borders. No. Where is this happening? Ah, it's probably inside here. So that should reduce it. And then the only other thing is, of course, border. Border. There we go. Clear out all our errors. And then we can do basically the exact same thing in terms of grid for the stack. So within a grid item, you can add a grid container, and again, we can add that there and take it down to the spacing, the box, if I can see it. There we go. Something wrong here, and then I can add another one there, all the way down to here, and I can finish up, I think, that grid there. Almost. I've read something wrong the wrong way. So we have the box. We have grid number 1. Let's take this out here. Completely, actually. There you go. That's fine. Let's have a quick look at those designs. They're kind of centered. There's probably we could definitely fix up spacings, etc. Here. let's see what this is. So we have these two grids. Yeah, in here I'm sure we could, let's see, I always forget again. It's not justify content, it's align items. Center. Align item center is what we want on this guy here. Align items center. I think that's fine. And then we could work on spacing here, making this all fine. I think I removed also the border country shouldn't be there. Yeah, that needs to jump out. So that's like that. I think I also got rid of the stacks, so I can re-add these stacks here. You know, stacks with the spacing of 2. Chuck that back in there. Do the same here. Stack with a spacing of 2. Chuck that back in here. So that's that, and then yeah, you see where this is going. I can now add. So usually for these kind of things, like I like to have certain kind of layout. Yes, nothing else. Where's the piano? No, I not here today. I tried for a long time to get to that 11x engineer, but I couldn't maintain it, so I gave up. So I'm just with the Apple Magic keyboard. I actually moved aside my mechanical keyboard just because it's too loud. I think it's too loud on the stream. So I'm just going to add a quick margin top up here. That doesn't look too bad. I think that's fine, and I think hopefully that still looks fine when I do that. Yeah. So I guess I've not quite figured out the stack yet. I need to play around with that a bit. Or maybe, I guess a stack is a grid with auto, so it's just a standard flex. So there are some areas and how you want to wrap it, but grid is always kind of safe when you know fixed area. So that looks fine to me. Back loading, the loading state's not great. This all looks fine, that all filters. Dark mode, do we want to do that? Let's try figure out the dark mode. The final thing, and this is actually just going to be hopefully a case of copy and paste, and then I think we can call it there. So first of all, let's just see how it looks if we've done any of the colors and stuff right. So I can jump into my app, jump into my theme, and just add palette mode dark. There you go. Dark mode is enabled. Doesn't look too bad actually. I don't like the black. It's too dark for me. But there you go. That's dark mode. So dark mode works actually off the bat. Everything's fine. Let's just, I guess, have a way to toggle between dark and light mode, and then we can call it at that. So the way you do that is we're going to have to move this and memorize it. So move it into our component. I believe they've got, toggle in dark mode here. There we go, perfect. So let's convert this to a function. So we can use the media query for getting the, let's see, that's fine. We can use a media query for getting the color scheme from the system, from the browser, and based off of that, choose. Now, the only caveat with this is it won't store it for next time. So if you hard refresh, if you go off and back on, it's not going to store your preference. But you could, bring in, local state and start storing it and stuff for next time. In this case, I'm not too bothered about that. So I'm going to take this line and paste up here. And then I'm going to return, hopefully, return my responsive font sizes. There we go. And just remove this. So all I'm doing is moving the theme was outside the component. I've put it into the component, but we're memoizing it so that the value doesn't, you don't need to re-render it every time, and we're just adding a dependency on the use memo function for prefers dark mode. So anytime you toggle prefers dark mode here, then or I guess this isn't even for the toggle. Anytime the dark mode changes with the media query, then we're going to change here. So actually, in order to in order to toggle it, we need to add a bit more. We need to store context, pass that down, get a toggle. Let's do that. I've done this before, so I'm gonna look for that, and maybe we can kind of quickly do something. So let me go over to one of my previous projects. Maybe we can quickly do something. So let's see. I think I created a hook before. I created a hook where, and this one actually uses. I think the hook uses. Let's try it out. If I can get it to work straight away, then I'll do it. If not, then I might leave it. So I had a, what do I call this? Dark mode context. Now this was a JavaScript file. So let's see what fails. Cool. So let's see, how's this doing? Props. Let's just chuck in any for now. Where is this props being used? It's just getting passed in. Dark mode provider. I can't quite remember how I used it. Dark mode dot provider was. Why is this complaining? Let's see. I mean, it is right here. What's going on here? Of course, this needs to be TSX. No, what have I done? Not sure. Let me rename this to TSX. So that's all fine. This is all fine. So this is just something I've used from another project. I think import instead. Let's just make sure that this is the right way, because this was on a relatively older project. I can't quite remember what version of React. Why would that not work? React context. Let's jump into here and just have a quick look at if I'm doing something crazy here. My context provider, this seems all right. Yeah, I can't quite understand why that's not liking that. Suppress that for a moment. Let's suppress that and see if that still works. And I've obviously chucked in an any here, but I'm just gonna see if this just works off the bat. So this is, I've just copied and pasted this from a project. So we're using the React context, we're creating the context. I'm creating a hook that just exposes the context. So just make sure it uses the use context hook. Just make sure that you're within the context and then returns it. And then I've got this use preferred dark mode. And all this does is gets the local storage item, it gets a media query, checks if the local storage item exists. If it doesn't, it uses the media query. Otherwise, it sets it and then returns it. So that just returns basically true or false. And then we have this provider, which basically just has a bit of state, which it gets from the use prefers dark mode hook. And it just has a function which basically sets the local storage and flips true and false and provides that function. So let's see if we can find that being used. So I should just be able to, and the caveat with this is I do need to now wrap everything. Let's just call this dark mode. Well, this isn't going to need to be called an app. The reason I need to wrap this is so that I can have access to the, is that going to work? Just so I can have access to the hook. And then I can do first dark mode just like that. And I think that should be it. So let's see if this works. First dark mode, dark light. I don't have a. That is the value. That's the problem with TypeScript. Type null. Okay, well, again, I'm going to suppress a few things for now, just to see if this works. Cool, so that's that. Let's see if the site still works. I may have broken things. React is not defined. Is that why that wasn't? Oh, of course, that's why this wasn't working. And then, is that why this was complaining? Of course, that makes sense. What else did I do? And is that why this is also complaining? Or is this complaining for something else? There we go, okay. So I missed the React import. No, this is complaining about something else. So that's fine. So the final step here is I can just use that toggle. Let's see if I can use that toggle in my header. And in this case, I don't actually need that. First dark mode, and then I think I exposed it as toggle dark mode. It's just a function. Again, I will suppress this for a moment. And toggle dark mode. It's just a function I can try to here. Maybe. Let's see. Hey, there we go. That's not bad. And actually, if we jump into the application, local storage, the good thing with this is it stores dark mode. So this is basically changing the value down here. Yeah, there we go. So that's dark mode, light mode, not the right colors, etc. But that's okay. Let's compare designs. So this is what been, I guess it's been a few hours, 3 hours, but we got quite far, I think. This isn't great, but this, so let's look at mobile first. So we have the country, filter. Oh, this still says age on it. Should probably at least change that. Oops. countries. Where have I got age? Ah, here. Country. Oh no, region. Cool. So filter by region, search for a country. We have all our countries, and then I guess it grows a bit, so that this one looks a bit better. We could fix up the right colors and the right exact fonts and stuff in the header, which is I guess trivial, on the backgrounds of these, some of the spacings, etc. And then dark mode, light mode works, and if we click on one of these, we get the, where is it? There we go. We get the flag as well as I guess the text, and that's all looking okay. We've got the back, that's all fine. Yeah, and if we make this smaller, that's this one here. No, this one here. Yeah, perfect, cool. I think I'm gonna call it there, guys. It's been a few hours. Again, this is kind of a bit of fun. I'm kind of doing these to learn a bit about some of the new technologies. So learning about, I guess, Material UI, React Router, and React Query version 3. So this one actually took a lot longer than I thought it would. 3 hours just now. I guess, yeah, that's what, yeah, it takes a while, especially if you're not, especially if you're not kind of designing front end stuff all the time, but maybe it'll get quicker over time. That'll be better. Again, sub-region doesn't exist as well here. A few things I'm figuring out here that aren't quite working, which I guess is fine. I'm not looking to get kind of sub-regions. Of course, let's rename this because it's lower R. I'm not looking to get the perfect design. I think that could be good practice, especially if you're kind of practicing for a, there we go, like a, I don't know, in a job where everything needs to be pixel perfect. But I think we could do it with a flex wrap there. We could do, I mean, I would say this is maybe 80-90% done. And this is the one that takes, I guess this takes 3 hours. It would probably take me a lot more than another 3 hours just to get all the little imperfections perfect. And usually, I mean, this is where I guess the trade-off comes and whether that's worth it or not. For now, definitely not for me. That's not great, but I guess I shall leave it like that. Yeah, I guess I'll call it like that. Yeah, I mean, it takes 3 hours to do 80%, so you can see that the entire app works. Dark mode, light mode, all the different pages, all works pretty well, and the layout and the shape is generally in the right places, and it's not horrible to look at. To get to the exact copy of these designs would just take a really long time, and it's probably worth practicing. Should be in the same line. Yeah, probably worth something practicing if that's what you want to get into. But I think for me, I'm just I like the 80%, and then yeah, if I'm on a real project, I might put in the additional 20% or at least 10%. But I think for these things, it's a bit of fun. It's probably, unless somebody wants that, or we can kind of figure out specific problems or fun problems, I don't think it's worth going into every single detail and playing around with pixel values until it's done. So but yeah, I'm going to continue doing things like this. If anyone's got any suggestions at any point, I might put polls out in terms of what kind of challenges, what's the next challenges. There might not all be front end, some might be back end, some might be mixed. But yeah, this is going to be fun for now, I guess, and I'll keep this going. This was really good fun. Yeah, I think I'll call it there. I'm going to end that stream, and thank you very much for coming on, and I'll see you guys in the next time.